Brothers and sisters, one of the healthiest things you can do for yourself is staying hydrated. And you know what I'm talking about. You go to your basketball game, football game, pro wrestling events, and suddenly you get a little parched. Well, one of the best ways that you can keep yourself safe is using Liquid IV. See, Liquid IV is a hydration stick that you can pour into 16 ounces of water and immediately get more efficiently hydrated than water alone. Okay? 12 delicious, refreshing flavors, all of your essential B vitamins, including B3, B5, B6, B12, even vitamin C. 3 times the electrolytes as traditional sports drinks. It's made with premium ingredients, non-GMO, free from gluten, dairy, soy, all that good stuff there. Listen, I'm telling you right now, folks, Liquid IV has changed my life. It's something that I use on a regular basis because I'm always on the go. I gotta stay hydrated. You gotta stay hydrated. Liquid IV has your back. It'll keep you exactly that way, hydrated. But don't just take my word for it. I want you to try it out. And because of that, if you head over to liquidiv.com right now, you can put anything that you want in your cart, and then at checkout, use the promo code Duke Loves Rasslin. No spaces in that now. Duke Loves Rasslin. Going to save you 20% on your entire order. That's how much I care about your hydration. That's how much I want you to check out Liquid IV. So what are you waiting for? Shop better hydration today. Visit liquidiv.com. That's right.
Look at what we have here, folks!
To the only show that matters.
The cream of the crop.
Duke Loves Rasslin.
And there is no one that does it better than
your hosts.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
The Duke.
And I'm all out of bubblegum.
All right, brothers and sisters, we are in year 10 of Duke Loves Rasslin, which is fantastic. Once again, great celebration. Thank you so much to everyone who supported 10-year anniversary episode. So cool. And, you know, as always, we're just going to keep going straight, baby. You know, and what better way to kick off the next episode than with a guy who has become a fixture on Duke Loves Rasslin. He's a great friend, knows his pro wrestling, doesn't mess around, except when he's talking about Cody Rhodes, which irritates me. But other than that, you know, he's a great guy, great family man, great friend. Mr. Danny G. What's going on there, Danny?
Hey, how you doing there, Mr. Duke? We'll get to the Cody stuff later in the show because I'm not going to ignore the nonsense you've been spewing recently about Cody Rhodes. That's not going to be ignored, okay? But before we get into the important stuff, which is obviously me on the show,
that's right. That's right.
Just listen. You're one of the most humble guys I've ever met in my life. You're also a great friend. You're a mentor. You're an advocate. You're somebody who truly does a lot of things for the good and for other people. And you just celebrated that 10 years. And that doesn't go unnoticed. So before we get started, give us a little bit of reflect back on the past 10 years. I just, you know, doesn't have to be long, Duke, just something that just let us know how it really feels to have an accomplishment so great.
Oh, so you think you're going to interview me now? Is that what's going on here?
Well, huh? just this part, because no one else is going to do it for you. So I'm going to do it, and because you won't do it for yourself. So I'm going to do it. So I'm going to say, take a couple minutes here and want you to reflect back before I lay the smackdown about Cody, and then before we get into WrestleMania coming up.
Yeah, we're definitely going to get into that Cody stuff because you've been puffing out your chest and acting up lately. So yeah, we got to talk about that, you know. And by the way, I don't appreciate your daughter threatening me. You know, that was something else.
Hey, listen,
okay?
I'm going to help her. So I'm going to help her.
Unbelievable. You know, it's funny. The journey has been wonderful. I want to make sure I make that clear. Journey's been wonderful. I I started this whole podcasting thing because I was tagging people on Facebook every time Monday Night Raw or SmackDown or one of the pay-per-views at the time, now we call them PLEs. Whenever anything wrestling was happening, I would tag people on Facebook, my friends, hey, come watch, let's live chat with each other while we're watching. And it got to a point where Facebook said, hey, you're spamming, you're tagging too many people in posts. And it wasn't a lot of people. You're talking like, 50 people, 80 people, whatever. So Facebook made me create a group. So there would be a central location for people to interact about this subject, right? So I made the group, and then after a couple of days, people were like, hey, man, you should do a podcast, because this is like a thing that was happening now, right? In 2016, you should do a podcast. You should do a podcast. So I said, all right, and I gave it a shot and recorded and put out the first episode in April of 2016. And it was right around WrestleMania. So I did it in order to verbalize some of the stuff we were talking about in the group. And then that turned into interviewing people. And I realized, okay, I can actually highlight some of these folks in wrestling, which would be cool. Because I do have a background in journalism and media and what have you that goes all the way back to 13 years old. So it's like, oh, okay, I can kind of incorporate some of that into this. So that's when I started interviewing people. And it wasn't until I interviewed Rudy Boy Gonzalez, shout out to him, and then interviewing some of his students. Then I got Susan Tex Green, who was the first openly gay female world champion. Once I started doing stuff like that and seeing how they were reacting, like they really appreciated being able to tell their story in long form, that's when I realized, bro, I said, you know what? I got to take this thing seriously, because people are spending time in their life to open up and talk about their legacy. And if I do this thing right, I can help some of these folks live forever. We are going to be long gone off this planet someday. But just like how we can hear audio recordings from the early 1900s, people are going to hear some of this content if it's preserved properly. So that's when I started taking it seriously. And then, when you get your first sponsorship, and then, my buddy, the Boston bad boy, Iron Mike Pelosi, when he invited me to come into his studio, because he's a big radio producer and now manager and what have you. He's with iHeartMedia now, excuse me. Once he had me come in the studio and was like, hey, this is how you properly interview a person. So when they talk, you should actually shut up and let them talk. Don't do the, okay, wow. He was like, be careful with doing all of those things, which is normal in a conversation, right? It's normal to give a person encouragement and let them know that you're listening and that you understand what they're talking about. That's why we do that. If I'm telling a story, it's not unusual for you, Danny G, to say, oh, okay, yeah, because you want me to know that you're paying attention. But when you're recording audio that you're going to put out to the world, you don't want to step on the other party's audio. You want a clean soundbite. So you can't be, wow. You can't do too much of that if you want to chop this up and put it out there and preserve it properly. That one lesson, Danny, changed my life, because it was like, oh, I can literally shut up and just listen. And then it turned into, stop doing notes. You're coming in with a list of topics and questions and all that. And then all you're going to do is focus on getting to the next question rather than listen to what they're saying to you. Like, truly pay attention to what they're saying, because they may say something that is more important than whatever your next question is, and you may need to stay there. So this guy was training me. Now, mind you, he was a producer for WZLX and, overseeing WBZ News Radio and all this other stuff. So this is an experienced, serious person in a major market who's taken the time to kind of explain to me how to do radio properly, right? But I'm doing a podcast, so it's translating those skills from radio into podcasting. And let me tell you something, brother. That knowledge, I was able to refine it. He showed me a couple of things in terms of editing, and I've been able to refine that and kind of figure out my own style and how I want to do that. Man, listen, off and running after that. That's when I knew I'm not going to stop doing it. I'm going to keep pushing. And it's hard. So even though I love it and I enjoy it and it's a purpose and I'm fulfilling a purpose, it's very difficult. I work on this stuff every single day. No matter what else I'm doing, shoot job, family stuff, not feeling well. You know, I'm a human being just like everybody. We don't always feel well every day, but in order for this thing to be where it's at today and where it's going, I have to dedicate my time to it. And I take it very seriously. You know, Danny, you've been with me and we've collaborated on a couple things, not just recording like we're doing now, but you've been with me at Savannah Bananas games. And as much fun as we have, we take that very seriously. You know, we need that content and it has to be delivered a certain way. And we're taking photos and we're doing audio. We're talking to each other or interview. I forgot, Danny G, that I interviewed Johnny Damon.
Oh, I remember that.
I forgot.
With the Bananas, the first Savannah Bananas, the one where they were in Brockton.
Yeah, I totally forgot that I did that interview, and it wasn't until I was putting together the 10-year anniversary special, I actually asked AI, "Hey, give me a list of the biggest names that I've ever interviewed." And on that list, in the middle of that list, was Johnny Damon, and it's like, yeah, this guy's a 2-time World Series champion for 2 rival teams, the Red Sox and the Yankees. Like, hell yeah, that's a big deal that you interviewed that guy. You know what I mean? But I also interviewed Lucianne Wukovich, who she has an asteroid named after her. And she's one of the leading astrobiologists of modern times. If aliens touch down today and someone's going to communicate with them, she's on the list. So whatever she knows and how she knows how to do it, she's considered that brilliant that they would make her part of the team to figure out how to communicate with extraterrestrials. She was on the show talking about defending the Universal Championships on other planets and what that would mean. And as ridiculous as that sounds, it ended up being a big hit because this very serious scientist comes on a wrestling show and actually uses science to explain wrestling. Amazing, right?
Yeah.
Now notice how I'm highlighting people who are not even wrestlers, right?
Yep.
They're not even wrestlers. When I've had, Princess Sophia G. I know we laugh about a little bit, but seriously, this is your daughter. For folks who don't know, it's Danny G's daughter, and she's a big wrestling fan, and she goes to live events with her dad. And even though she's a kid growing up in modern times and going through all the highs and lows of that, we all went through it, middle school, high school, that transition, those years, and figuring out who you're going to be in life and all the twists and turns that comes along with it. You know, boys, makeup, teachers, you got to get your studies done. You know, what am I going to do after high school? Like, these are very challenging years, and we all know that. And the fact that she has a dad who has found something that she's interested in, pro wrestling, and he continues to cultivate his personal relationship with his daughter using pro wrestling. And they go to these events together and they go to meet and greets together. And she truly lights up when they're doing this daddy-daughter pro wrestling stuff. Dude, I'm going to tell you right now, I am so proud of being able to capture some of that content and being able to cultivate and tell that story over a period of years, right? As she continues to grow up, that type of stuff is more important to me than interviewing whatever big name Hall of Fame wrestler, even though I enjoy that as well, obviously. But I love talking to people about the things that help them continue to move forward in life and try to be the best version of themselves they can be. Because that's me. I was a kid who grew up in a neighborhood where I heard gunshots. I was a kid who grew up during the crack epidemic. And even though both of my parents were police officers at the time, that didn't shield us from the realities of what was going on around us. And I was a kid who had to move a lot because obviously when your parents make more money and get more established, they're going to go to a better neighborhood, hopefully, and eventually buy property and do this and do that. So I was also a kid who got to be in different neighborhoods and different situations and have to start over and make new friends. But pro wrestling was there the whole time. So to bring it back, whenever your daughter interacts with Duke Loves Rasslin, I love it because I understand her. You know what I mean? And I love the fact that you as a father, that's how you've cultivated your relationship. And she's not the only one. Obviously, Maddie G and all your kids, man, you've done a very good job of that. I love that story, Danny. You know what I mean? So Tiger Conway Jr., here's a guy who, unfortunately, he's been battling cancer, and hopefully he lives much longer, but, you know, it's kind of beating him up right now. To be able to do that interview with him, where he gets to essentially, with his full mind, recap his career and share what he wants to share with the fans and thanks the fans and what have you. Like, dude, people tell me that can be submitted for a Pulitzer Prize and an Emmy and all this stuff. The Icebreakers, those women from the bobsled team who they're the original founders of the bobsled team for the United States, U.S. Olympics there, telling that story and being able to put that together with them and put that out, and now that's going to be nominated for awards and stuff. And I don't care about the awards for me, but it's taking stories that matter, because we all have a story to tell, and we all have something that matters that we could share with the world. Being able to have a vehicle to put stuff like that out and share it with the world, and again, make these folks live forever, including you, Danny G. I don't know, man. I feel the most alive in those moments. Because I don't know, for some reason, God has let me know that that's my purpose in life. Hey, man, you're here to help people, and helping people doesn't always look the same way for everybody. So I'm not opening up my wallet and donating every dime I have to every little cause and stuff like that. I'm not going to do that. You know what I mean? But I will help you get the help that you need. I'll direct you to services, or in this case with the show, I'll give you an interview that years from now people can go back and listen to, and it will stand up through the test of time, and they'll know that you were somebody that mattered on this earth. That makes all of the years spent doing this, not going out, not going on vacation, missing live events, all that stuff, being sick, just being tired, and not wanting to do it every day, but no, you gotta do it because this is your purpose. It makes it worth it, bro. So I say all that just to say, as I reflect on it, this is probably the first time in my life that I've actually allowed myself to do that, and it feels good. It feels good because I feel like I'm honoring my contract with God, you know, and that's all that matters to me at the end of the day, bro. Okay. You know, am I being a good person? That's it.
Yeah. We got to look at ourselves in the mirror every day.
Yeah.
Whether we like it or not. You know, we get to see the gray hairs coming in. We get to, see our smiling face. We get to see us being fat, being skinny, however we are. But ultimately, you got to look at yourself every day. And, if you can, and when you look at yourself, you should be able to smile and say, yeah, I've done some good. So kudos to you, my friend.
I appreciate that, brother. I really do. Now we got that out of the way, all the warm and fuzzy stuff. Let me explain something to you, okay? I said it so many times before. I'm the Duke, and you, my friend, are nothing but a 6'10", 250-pound overstuffed punk from Rhode Island who doesn't know what it means to tell Cody Rhodes to his face that he's a Ric Flair wannabe, who doesn't know what it means to stand up to all the humanoids online. Well, actually, you know what it means now because you went viral. Breaking news, folks. Danny G went viral on his own for having the audacity to share an opinion about pro wrestling on X. And he has been bombarded with the greatest hits of humanoids that want to literally do whatever it takes to shut him down for having the audacity to comment on something wrestling related. So you do know what that means. But all I'm going to say to you is, here, Danny G, you need to get out of this business, get rid of the contract you have with Cody Rhodes, and get out of his life. Stop defending him, because I've been vindicated by the WWE when Pat McAfee picked up a microphone and regurgitated almost word for word what I've been saying for the past couple of years, that Cody Rhodes is a Ric Flair wannabe who would have turned on his daddy. He dresses like Flair. He tries to act like Flair. But no matter what he does, he will never be class personified like Ric Flair, at least in the ring. Okay? So I want to hear from you, Danny G. The first thing you need to say next is Duke, you were right. And Pat McAfee cutting that promo the other night proves it. Go ahead. Tell me I'm right.
All right. First of all, I know Devon's listening. All right? I know one. I know Devon's listening. So, Devon, I want you to know something. I'm the same size as you, my friend. Okay? And here's the difference, Devon. We don't need Obafemi. Okay? Because Danny G can drive down 95 onto 93 to Mr. Duke Loves Rasslin, Duke Bennett's front doorstep.
Oh,
okay?
No.
And I can take care of the dark match and take care of Duke and end this Cody nonsense once and for all. And once we do that, like my daughter, Princess Sophia G, said, we're going to dye his hair Cody blonde. And then we're going to dress Duke up in polka dots. Okay?
Oh, my God.
And we're going to have him parade around the city of Boston exclaiming that Cody Rhodes is one of the great WWE wrestlers. Can't say of all time yet, but he's up there. And you want to throw the Pat McAfee stuff out there, fine. Just because WWE finally took one of your scripts and decided to use it and use it with Pat McAfee, that's fine. But all this does is cement Cody Rhodes in with all of the other great champions of the past 25 years. Hogan was booed. Austin got booed. The Rock got booed. Cena made a living off of let's go Cena, Cena sucks, and got booed out of buildings. So now that people are turning on Cody, it just cements him in with all of those guys. So I will continue to defend my Cody Rhodes, my man, and I'm going to say he's my tribal chief. How about that?
He's your what?
I ran out of words. I couldn't think of it.
He's your what? Are you kidding me right now? Yeah.
In all seriousness, I've always liked Cody. I've always been a Cody fan. Even he's the only reason I ever watched AEW, to be honest with you. And then, you talked about going to events with my daughter, with Sophia. Some of my greatest memories were when we went. He was doing the dark matches at the end of the show for a while. Even if whether he was on Raw or SmackDown, he would be the main event, and he would send the crowd home and stuff like that. So, and one of the times she was excited because she didn't think he was going to be there, and then all of a sudden during the dark match you could see them setting up the pyro. So she's like, Dad, that's for Cody. That's got to be for Cody. And so, we got to see him do the whole come out and stuff like that. And it was really good. And then when he beat Roman, like little Princess Sophia, 15-year-old Sophia, literally jumped off the couch and gave me the biggest hug and started crying. She was so happy. So I'm a little sentimental for Cody. Now you know why.
And that's fine. But I do have to tell you that, as great of a dad as you are, and I'm always putting you over for being a great dad, that's the one flaw in your parenting, is that you allowed your daughter to idolize and look up to a guy who has the audacity to call himself a nightmare. And this is the problem with people. Okay? This is the problem. Everyone wants to use words and they want to act like they don't have a dictionary or they can't look it up to see what it means. There is nothing in the history of language on this planet, in this universe, that has ever referred to a nightmare as anything but negative, right? So Cody Rhodes is telling the world that he is a bad person, and you allow my niece, one of the sweetest human beings to ever walk the planet, you allow her to be a fan of something so negative, so egregious, so terrible. I'm going to tell you right now, Danny G, that is your one flaw in life, man. You have completely missed the boat. I think you've been misled, and maybe that's what the issue is. But this is something that needs to be corrected, or I'm going to have to put my foot down. And you don't want that to happen because it's a size 13.
All right, well, as is mine. And Devon, I hope you enjoyed the last recording of the Devon and the Duke show, because right when we're done with this, I'm hopping in the car. And I'm heading to good old right up 95 to 93. And I'm going to end this. And then I'm going to send pictures to you and to Cody so that he can see that the nonsense is finally taken care of. And
is his nightmare going to be over at that point?
His nightmare, his Massachusetts related nightmare is going to be over. Yes, it's going to be over. Yes.
Unbelievable.
Yep. And I'm going to drive fast. You, man. I'm going to risk.
Speeding you are.
Okay. Because I ain't going to let him run away.
I got connections. They'll be looking for you. Don't worry. We'll make sure this guy gets pulled over before he gets there.
That's what I'm going to do? This is how I'm really going to punish you. I'm going to bring Rhode Island style pizza, bakery style pizza, and I'm going to make you eat so much of it that you can't get off your couch.
Unbelievable. You can
finish it with coffee milk and Dell's lemonade. Okay.
Disgusting.
And then after that, you're not getting off the couch for probably 3 months.
Disgusted. First of all, we do Richie's slush here. We don't do that stupid frozen Dell's lemonade nonsense that you guys dab down there. That's first of all. Second of all, the Rhode Island pizza is so ridiculous, folks. It is a pizza that is square, and it's just tomato sauce and a little bit of cheese sprinkled on top. Grated cheese, Parmesan cheese sprinkled on top.
The most important part, it's ice cold.
Ice cold. It is the most ridiculous thing. I had it. Listen, God rest his soul. My man, big time, Alan Friedman, literally my mentor and great friend in retail. When I was a kid, just trying to make some money, coming out of college and what have you. Alan was a guy who he hired me and mentored me and what have you. Great guy, and he would bring this Rhode Island pizza every time we do inventory. And it was the most ridiculous. And I would tell him every time, I was like, brother, you're killing me. What is this nonsense? And Alan had this crazy voice. He was a short guy and what have you, but he had this crazy, listen, let me tell you something. This is the best shit around, okay? Huh? It's the best. And I'm like, dude, this is the worst. No one wants to eat this crap. Everyone loves it. It's Rhode Island pizza. I'm like, oh, my God. So the fact, Danny G, that you're trying to continue to uphold this terrible standard, all right? This is the worst thing since Buddy Cianci, okay? This Rhode Island crap that y'all got going on, brother, I'm telling you, you got to dump it. You got to get rid of it. Okay?
Listen.
You got to get rid of it.
Buddy is a legend around here. Buddy is a legend. I'm born and bred from Rhode Island. I love being from here, whatever, but we're best known for reelecting a criminal probably several times. So, the current
Absolutely
president is the only one, the rest of the country followed the model, I guess, because my God, yeah. But
everyone loved Buddy.
I'll tell you what, though, he got stuff done, though. He really did. He turned the city of Providence into it's a really nice city. It is. It's nice.
Absolutely.
You can walk around and there's things to do and there's great restaurants and stuff. So yeah, he did a great job with that stuff. But what he did on other stuff, we won't get into that.
Let me tell you something. There's no one that had on their bingo card. Well, maybe they did because it's nothing unusual for Duke Loves Rasslin. But who had on their bingo card an episode where Cody Rhodes, Devon Dudley, and Buddy Cianci are all mentioned in the same thing there, huh?
Yeah. And bakery-style pizza. So you take that, you circle, you take your free space in the middle and you hit bingo. You know what I mean? We're good.
That's it. I love it. I love it. We're just acting up here, folks. Anyone who was expecting anything less than a good time on this episode, I don't know what to tell you, man. It's WrestleMania season. We're having a good time. This is literally the end of the WWE calendar, their fiscal year, and it transitions into the beginning of the new fiscal year. But it's always a reminder of the pinnacle of our fandom, right? It doesn't matter if WrestleMania is a good card or not per se. We're gonna complain about what we don't like. We're gonna praise what we like, but the nostalgia, the fact that we get to continue to come together for this one big event that the entire year was leading up to. How could we not be giddy about that? You know what I mean? Like that, I feel good about that, right? Danny, am I right?
Yeah, it's a fun time of year. It always is. I mean, I think this year was a little harder for people because it's a little later than it usually is. I mean, it's always been either the end of March or the beginning of April for the most part, But, they had to pivot because they couldn't stay in New Orleans, so they had to find a place kind of on the fly. So they had to bring it back to Vegas and whatnot. But it's been a hard. So I think like the build to get there was a little later when people were chomping at like, oh, what's going on? Because generally, you get the Royal Rumble and then you get the 8 weeks or so and it brings up. But this year we had the Royal Rumble and there was kind of like a grace period there where I still think they're trying to figure out what they really want to do. So I think people got frustrated with that. And now that we're getting, we're a week away, everything has come together, and for the most part, it's a really, really good card. I mean, I'm looking forward to almost all of the matches on the show. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I wish there was a spot for everybody. I really do. I mean, there are people that are going to be left off that probably deserve to be on the card, but there just isn't, and the one thing that they'll do, they'll make sure that those people are featured in some way throughout the whole weekend. So I feel like that's a good thing for all the superstars. But, it is what it is. If you didn't get on this year, you might get on next year, but it's the goal. That's the goal. Work hard all year to be able to get that spot on the grandest stage of them all.
Yeah. And I mean, one thing about you, Danny, you've always shared that sentiment. You're not a proponent and everybody gets a match in WrestleMania. You feel that, no, only the best matches get put up, and that's just the way it is, which you're not wrong. That's what's best for business, I do like the fact that they make WrestleMania a whole week, because what that does is it allows everyone to participate in the overall concept. So even though if you don't wrestle on Saturday and Sunday, so what? If you had your matches on SmackDown, if you had your matches on Raw earlier in the week, it's still part of the same thing. And certainly, if you're going to debut or do something big, the Raw after WrestleMania, that's almost as big.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because you're kicking off the fiscal year. Let me ask you this, Danny, because this is not a traditional recap. We're not going to go over every match and do all that same boring thing that everybody else does. And I've done it before. No need to do it now. The notion of having celebrities celebrities were always part of WrestleMania. They serve a purpose, and they are effective. It has never not worked overall. I'm not saying that every celebrity has been a draw, but overall, it has consistently worked in the sense that when you have a celebrity part of your wrestling program, like a WrestleMania, you're going to get mainstream coverage. You're going to get mentioned in places that you don't normally get mentioned. And WWE, they're literally the greatest at figuring out how to do that. And the diversity of the celebrities that they use through the years is fantastic. I mean, Jesus, they had the Rockettes and Liberace in the beginning.
Muhammad Ali.
Yeah. Yeah. And now, you know, whether it's Pat McAfee or Logan Paul, which those guys are pretty much part of the roster, but then you got Jelly Roll, and now you have this guy, what does he call himself? The Boat, called not the greatest of all time, but the best of all time. That's where Natty got it from, actually. Little Yachty, who is paired up with Trick Williams. And I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know how you're receiving it, but I'm telling you right now, Danny G, Little Yachty has turned out to be an incredible enhancement for Trick that I didn't even know Trick needed. He's annoying. His timing is great. It's almost silly. It's like, why is this guy here? What the hell is his problem? So you want to see him get hit, but then you remember, oh, he's like a big rapper that can play sold out stadiums and stuff around the world. And yet because he's such a big wrestling fan, he's part of this WrestleMania build and he's all in on it. Like he's 2 feet in his whole body in on this. He's not just effing around like Travis Scott did. This guy actually understands why he's there, just like Jelly Roll, by the way, and is taking it seriously, in my opinion. Do you feel the same way? Like, how are you receiving the celebrities? And let's use Little Yachty as our first example.
So how I'll put it with this, right? I feel like over the past few years, they've done a much better job of actually identifying celebrities that aren't just going to come in and grab a paycheck. Maybe Travis Scott did that. I actually don't think he did that. I just think it wasn't a good fit. I do think he tried, but I just don't think it fit. It just didn't work. But, you think about it, you go, the Bad Bunny. I mean, for Randy Orton to come out and say after Bad Bunny's first match to be like, I got to hand it to Bad Bunny. He goes, because, a lot of people come into our world and they're just here to get some money and then take off. He goes, this guy spent hours and weeks at the Performance Center trying to learn. People criticize Logan Paul. Logan Paul was built for this. He is unbelievably good at the job, and he takes it seriously. He loves it. He loves doing it. Jelly Roll is enjoying it. Pat McAfee, say what you want. The guy did a great job in the ring, and the guy can talk and he can cut a promo, which is 50 to 75% of the job anyways. So they've done a great job of identifying these people to actually make it interesting, not like just having Lawrence Taylor fight Bam Bam Bigelow. That was just to try to get some people to watch at that point in time. So I feel like they've done a really good job, and I do enjoy it. I mean, I still can't I honestly think McAfee is involved because I think he's actually the voice for The Rock. And I think we're going to see The Rock at WrestleMania is what I think.
Wow.
I think we might see him both nights because, Punk cut that promo. You know what I mean? So you could see The Rock coming out to kind of help Roman because of the whole bloodline thing. You know what I mean? And then The Rock and Cody still have unfinished business, So maybe it's The Rock who's been in Randy Orton's ear the whole time. But you ain't just going to have The Rock show up on SmackDown. So you needed somebody to kind of fill the gap. All right, so let's put Pat McAfee in there. Also, why are we going to put Pat McAfee in there? I'm pretty sure he's going to broadcast from Las Vegas all week for his show. That's one. Two, they're going to be on ESPN the first hour of each show. They're going to be doing Sports Center from out there and stuff like that. I mean, did you ever think you'd see the day, Duke, that Sports Center and highlights of wrestling would be on Sports Center? Did you ever think you'd see that?
Absolutely not.
No.
No way.
So, like, a lot of people want to criticize TKO and criticize the business because, oh, it's not about the fans and stuff like that. If you ask me, it's more about the fans because they're giving you access in so many other ways. Now, does it cost money? Sure, in some points. But, watching Pat McAfee on YouTube interview WWE superstars doesn't cost you any money. The first hour of WrestleMania isn't going to cost you any money. Now, look, I actually think if they really want people to get this app, they should just give WrestleMania free. WrestleMania should be on ESPN. Night 1 on 2, ESPN 2, night 2 on ESPN, whoever. Maybe down the road they'll do that. I think they should do that. And then I think it would get more and more eyes on the product at all. But they just there's a reason that these guys are involved, and it's getting more opportunities for the superstars as a whole. You've got look at these meet and greets that they're all doing. I mean, I just saw they announced Blake Monroe the other day, just I want to say 2 days ago, and it's already sold out. She's sold out. All her meet and greets are sold out. For God's sakes, they're charging $10,000 to go on a bus ride with Cody Rhodes, and it's sold out. You know what I mean? They're giving their superstars so many opportunities to actually do better for themselves because these will lead to other things down the road. These will lead to, smaller movie roles. These could lead to mainstream commercials. This could lead to, I don't know, talk shows or something like that. You never know. So they're doing a lot of things for the superstars that in the past that they didn't do. Unfortunately, it's not as much wrestling related as I think I would like. But as a whole, I think the business is better off for the superstars because they're doing a great thing to let them have an afterlife because, you get to a certain point where you're not going to be able to do this anymore. Not everyone's going to be able to do it in their 50s. A lot of the female superstars do want to have families. So, they're not going to be able to do this forever. So getting them out there and giving them exposure and allowing celebrities like Pat McAfee to interview them and to be involved, there's more positive to that than there is negative. That's a long-winded way of saying that.
I agree 100%. And I think that, and we have this battle all the time, Danny, with the humanoids. And I call you folks humanoids because that's what you are. I know there's a lot of people out there. Well, when you call people humanoids, and that means something negative. Okay, so what? I'm not calling them a POS. I'm not calling them a humanoid.
Yeah.
Meaning you're part man, part machine. You're a robot, right? The machine part of you is just so predictable and programmed. That's what you are. You're a humanoid. They want to push this notion of for the love of the game, and they're just doing it for the love of wrestling and all that. And it's like, buddy, it's a business, and it always was a business, and it always will be a business. And when you incorporate celebrities into something like WrestleMania, you're going to get more attention, which then translates at some point into more money. It may not directly translate. Jelly Roll may not sell one extra ticket, but you know what Jelly Roll is going to do? He increases WWE's SEO and their ability to be more visible. When you Google Jelly Roll, you're going to see WWE pop up on the front page, right? Whoever's covering Jelly Roll, they may mention WWE and WrestleMania, more importantly. So over time, that makes the brand more valuable, which then when it comes time to negotiate new deals, including endorsements and sponsorships and television contracts and what have you, they're going to be negotiating from a stronger position because they have all of these mainstream stars from all different walks of life who are part of their WWE brand. So that's just good business, man. And I don't care how you feel about 5-star matches and all this other nonsense. A 5-star match can't beat, I don't care what anybody says, Lil Yachty. Lil Yachty is one of the top acts in music today, still. So for Lil Yachty, and Lil Yachty's audience is a younger audience. So you got to bring in that next generation of wrestling fan, which Danny G does that in a great way with his family. So he understands it's a business. And if you want the business to exist tomorrow, then you can't be belly aching when you see this type of stuff. So for all of you traditionalists and, oh, we don't need that. Listen, if Cody Rhodes could sell more tickets or get more visibility on the product, then they wouldn't need celebrities. Okay? That tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah, okay. All right. There
All
you
right?
go. There you go.
He's an egg-sucking dog. He's a Ric Flair wannabe. And I'm going to tell you right now, Cody Rhodes, I don't care what Devon Dudley says. I don't care what Danny G says. I don't care what your mama says. Okay? You're a punk. I think that you're a barefaced bastard as well. You looked better with the mustache. Okay? And as far as I'm concerned, you are the least likable person in your entire household. I like your wife. I like your kid. I like your dog. I don't like you. And I'll just leave it at that.
All right. First off, nobody was doing that. Okay? Nobody. So we're gonna edit that part out. Okay? Second off, Cody, I want you to know I'm willing to do your dirty work for you. Okay? I'm accessible at Wicked Smart on X. Okay? Send me a DM and consider it done. That's all I have to say.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Gun for hire over here.
Real quick, Duke. We didn't get into the whole bringing speed into speed. Yeah. You know, that build-up was brilliant. I think
Absolutely.
I said that to you that day it happened. I'm like, and you were like, that's exactly how you use a celebrity. Like having LA Knight crash his stream, throw him around, you know. And the best part about it is that match, Speed, he's going to get his ass kicked in that match. Like he's going to, and
people are going to love it.
He is going to take bumps that people, I feel bad for him because he's willing to do it too. You know what I mean?
Sure,
like,
sure.
You know, like we think that the Braun Breaker spear almost broke him. What the Usos and LA Knight are going to do to him, it's going to be unfair. It's going to make they're going to try not to go on the camera when looking at Logan Paul and Austin Theory because they're going to have their head down like, oh my God, this poor guy.
Yeah.
They're going to be dragging him out after, but it's going to be so fun to watch. It's going to be great to watch, you know, and that's the beauty of it. I mean, and like that just gets back to, like I said, the whole identifying people that are going to be good for WWE, not just there to just, you know, make a paycheck.
Absolutely. You know, it's funny. We talked about it in the beginning of this episode, and I listed off the type of people. I'm proud of everybody who's been on, you know, my shows and that I've interviewed and stuff like that. Don't misunderstand me out here, folks, but I called out different types of people, not just wrestling people. And when I think about building this podcast brand from nothing, it didn't exist. I'm not a person in wrestling. I didn't have any connections, just a fan. To build this thing up to be where it is today, where, you know, it's in the top 5% of all listened to podcasts. And in fact, we've been trending in the top 2.5%. I may end the year somewhere in between 2 and 2.5% of all listened to audio podcasts in the world, which is just ridiculous. It boggles my mind to even reach that height. But that doesn't happen because I'm just interviewing wrestlers all the time. You got to bring in people from different walks of life so that you can tap in to people that you wouldn't normally be able to reach. And iShow Speed is a great example of that. He has a built-in massive audience of kids who love him, and they're growing with him because he's a young kid his own damn self. But they're growing with him, and they spend money. So anything he's attached to is going to be huge. It's going to go viral. It's going to be popular. It's going to over-index because they're attached to him than it would do on its own, because that's how talented and how beloved he is. The fact that he's wrestling at WrestleMania is going to pay off for years to come. iShow Speed and Logan Paul and Lil Yachty, those three people alone can rebuild the WWE fan base. because their core audiences are younger people. So you just created they just replaced us. We're old guys, Danny. You know,
I'm an old guy. You're not quite there yet. I'm the old guy.
I'm an old guy. It's all right. I got more gray hair than you. But they replaced us. You know what I mean? Which I think is great. And it has to happen. Listen, this thing has to exist after us. We can't sit here and want pro wrestling to stay one way in order to satisfy us. And then that's it. I want people who came after me to be able to enjoy something the same way that I've enjoyed this thing for the past 43 plus years.
No, yeah,
you know,
right. I mean, even getting back to Speed real quick. I mean, just continuing the whole Danhausen curse thing throughout like the week or two after was amazing. I mean, and it's like I can't believe I'm actually enjoying Danhausen, because when he debuted, I was like, I honestly wanted to throw up. I was like, This is awful. But you know what? They're using him the right way. They're using, he beat Kit Wilson last night. He ain't going to beat anybody else. You know what I mean? It's not like this guy's not going to win a title. He's not going to be a champion, but he's entertaining and he's funny, and they're using him the right way. You know what I mean? He could be a great manager. He could be great for a stable. Kids absolutely love him. It's hilarious, and just like keeping it going during having like a bad week for like right after like missing his flight and all sorts of other stuff. It was amazing. It was funny, and I was like, yeah, I watch it and I pay attention to it. But maybe people that haven't always watched it, but they follow Speed, were like, wow, I want to check this out, because this guy put a curse on Speed, and now we can't get out of his own way. That's the beauty of it. That was so enjoyable. I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to that match for sure.
Yeah, same here. And look, I'm not a Danhausen guy because I'm not a CM Punk guy, and I know that's CM Punk's buddy. And as far as I'm concerned, anyone associated with CM Punk is a punk in their own damn right. So I'm always going to feel that way. And for all of you out there,
just begging for me to drive up there today. I'll tell
listen,
you.
I'm consistent. Right?
Yes, you.
How many episodes have I gone after Pepsi Phil? Like, I'm consistent about this stuff. Come on. But let me say this about Danhausen. The guy is true to his gimmick, which I respect. And you're absolutely right. The WWE understands how to take an act like that and make money off of it. Merchandise and appearances. His appearances are all sold out and all that good stuff. And pairing him up with Speed is so smart. That's what people don't understand. All these guys who are getting paired up with celebrities, it's so smart. It is going to make them bigger commodities because, again, they're tapping into fan bases and audiences that they wouldn't normally be able to tap into. What the hell? Listen, Danhausen would never be able to reach the audience that Speed has. Okay? No way, no how. You got to come to WWE and get an opportunity like that. So, and I hate to transition here, but Tony Khan, you should be ashamed of yourself. Because you had Danhausen, you had Cody Rhodes, you had CM Punk, you had Jade Cargill, and here's the worst part. You had them all at the same time.
You also had Cody.
How? All at the same time. How did you have these acts all at the same time and you weren't able to make more money off of them and become bigger, utilizing their talents and leveraging them properly? Brother, I'm telling you right now, man, you were in the way,
Yeah,
What's that?
I'll just tack onto that a little bit because, I love bashing Tony Khan. You know that. But
yeah.
Do you know why? Ultimately, Tony Khan wants to be the show there. Since day one, he has wanted to be the face of AEW. He has never, ever allowed a talent in AEW to become bigger than him. If you think about it.
Yeah.
Cody was bigger than him. Punk was way bigger than him when he was there. Other people that have been there, I can't think of anybody else off the top of my head right now, but He doesn't want anybody to be bigger there. He's holding Bobby Lashley down now because he doesn't want somebody to outshine him. He comes
Which
out
is
and
crazy,
talks to
by the
crowd and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know what? Like people like to bash Triple H because he'll probably open up WrestleMania. All right, that's fine. He's opening up WrestleMania. Triple H isn't out there, and Vince McMahon wasn't out there before every single show trying to talk to the crowd and hype them up and say things and stuff. I went to the AEW show in Providence when he came out and talked 3 times. You know what I mean? And he put out a really crappy show. It was a terrible show.
I remember that.
All right, I shouldn't say that. I had a good time. I enjoyed the show. But there was no top stars there. The only top star he had there, and this is honest to God truth, Duke, I'm sorry, was Mercedes was there. But I missed it because I went to the bathroom. She came out, did a run-in, and she left. I was gone for maybe 4 minutes because there were no lines because there was nobody there. Okay? I came back and it was over. The one person I actually wanted to see, I missed because I went to the freaking bathroom. He had nobody good there. And then we because my brother-in-law I was with, he bought us tickets. We were in the front row. I got to stand next to Orange Cassidy. He's smaller than Sophia, for God's sakes. You know what I mean? It's just like it was nuts. There were so many people that weren't there that could have been on it. And here's the thing. That was 3 days after Rhode Island Comic Con. Rhode Island Comic Con is probably the biggest Comic Con in the North, besides New York, right? But the Rhode Island Comic Con that they do is probably the biggest in the whole Northeast, if not in the New England area. They generally get a lot of really good people. And they had a couple of AEW guys were there this year. But there was no cross-promotion. No cross-promotion whatsoever. You know what I mean? I believe Darby Allin was at Rhode Island Comic Con. Why not have him at the show that Thursday night? Why not have Jericho? Jericho was there too. Why not have Jericho there on that Thursday night? That was a perfect opportunity to have a cross promotion. I passed Thunder Rosa walking to the event at the Providence Place Mall. She happened to come walking by and I recognized her, right? She wasn't even on the show that night. One of your top women superstars wasn't even on the show. I think there was one women's match the whole night long. It was just, I don't know. I can't explain it. And I know people are saying now that they're on the upswing and all that good stuff, but I just don't see it. And like you said, the whole point of me getting so much hate on Twitter over the past couple of days was because I had the audacity to say, why is MJF still futzing around on the indies if Tony Khan pays so well? Where if he was a true businessman and if he's paying MJF as much money as he says he is, that is an asset to your company. If MJF gets hurt in a nonsense match in front of 800 people, if Nick Nemeth would have super kicked him in the head and concussed him and caused him to never be able to wrestle again, it wasn't even on his dime. Think about that. Think about that. My company would never allow me to work for a competing company or even a similar like company because it's a conflict of interest. So all you people out there that are saying he does it for the love of the game and he's doing it to make money and he's doing it to this and that, I don't care. If you're being paid over $1 million a year to work 1 day a week and do maybe an interview a week, you focus on that and you focus on your company. You don't defend your title in a nonsense match in Vegas, by the way, where they're piggybacking off of the WrestleMania crowd. You don't do it.
Whew. Tell me how you really feel, Danny G.
Think about it. It just doesn't make sense to me. And for all these people to have, I have never been called a virgin so much in my life.
Oh my God.
From nameless, faceless idiots. And I'll tell you that's what you are, because you're idiots. Because you have no idea what you're talking about. you have no idea what the wrestling business actually is. And, am I right about everything? No. But at the same time, I know more than these people know, and that's for sure. And the crowd, the thing with those people, Duke, is they are exactly what the casual people consider to be wrestling fans. They consider wrestling fans to be these crazy lunatics, you know what I mean, who don't shower, who don't leave their mother's basement, who play video games all day long, who don't leave the house if they don't have to. That's what people consider wrestling fans. And you know what? If you go to a WWE show, 75% of the crowd are actually more normal people with their families and treating it like what it is, an entertainment event and an opportunity to do something fun with your family.
His name is Danny G. He's the pride of Rhode Island. He's a Cody Rhodes lover. But outside of that, he's actually a guy that knows what he's talking about, other than the Cody Rhodes stuff. I'll tell you that right now. Danny, how can everybody listening right now keep up with you, especially, later when WrestleMania is happening, if they want to check in and see, well, what is Danny G thinking? Are you going to be live tweeting and stuff like that? How can they find out?
I don't do a lot of live tweeting and stuff like that. I try to, when I'm watching, I try to actually watch. I might, I'll chat with you. You're like, we'll chat and go back and forth and stuff like that. I might do a little live tweeting, but for the most part, I don't. But really, at Wicked Smart on Twitter, it's just, that's about the only place you'll be able to find me. I like to keep my other socials relatively private. Because you're going to see my kids and stuff on there, and I don't need any of the idiots going after any of my kids and stuff like that. So, but I'll never block you. I'm not going to try to, I'm happy to have a conversation with anybody. You can call me all the names that you want, but if you really think you're hurting my feelings, you're wrong. I mean, it's social media. I don't care what nameless, faceless, nerds think of me. You know what I mean? I care about the people. I care about the people in my life and the people I love and the people like you, Duke. I care what you think of me.
Well, listen, what I think of you is that you've quickly become one of my best friends. I respect you, I trust you, and I appreciate you, Danny G. You've always been just a solid guy, man, and I'll tell you, if I had 5 more Danny G's, I wouldn't need anybody else. So from the bottom of my heart, bro, seriously, thank you for just being the person that you are. And let's do 10 more years of this, bro, because we're just getting started.
As long as you're willing to keep it going, I'm willing to come on, anytime you want, but without overkill, if you know what I mean. There's only so much Danny G people can handle.
Strictly for the culture. Every day, stepping style in your unique way. Patterns and colors so divine. All about the perfect line. Be yourself, let your spirit fly. In this fashion, you'll touch the sky. Strictly for the culture, brand so fine. Dress to impress and show your shine. Strictly for the culture, every day. Step in style in your unique way.
Visit www.strictlyfortheculture.ca.
This is Tony Schiavone, and we're desperately out of time on Duke Loves Rasslin.